Around here is Woj. Surprised, yes. I was disappointed I didn't go back in, but I'm more disappointed that we lost the damn game. Ultimately, you have to be okay when expletive doesn't go well, and I'm okay. I've done everything that's been asked of me, and I'll continue to do so and ride this out as long as we can toward our ultimate goal, and that's to win a championship. Well, the Lakers are hoping Russell Westbrook can get in the zone. Get in the zone is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Key, what do you think of what Russ had to say to Woj?
Well, it's frustration, right? It really is. He had high hopes that his first year in L.A. would be, different than what he's been playing. He hasn't played well at all. He would be the first to tell you that. He's not happy about it. He thought he was coming home and to a great homecoming, and things would be different this time of year. And so when you look at it, accepting what has happened is your first step. And Russ has accepted the fact that he was benched. He understands why he was benched. And from what I understand in speaking with him is that he's going to do better so that it doesn't happen again. And next time around, he's going to try to work on certain things on the defensive end and understanding. And he understands that this is his first time playing with the players that he's played with. So he's not overly panicked about it, and I don't think we should be. We shouldn't get overly panicked until we really know that the Lakers are completely out of it.
Yeah, I've been preaching patience with the team, and Russell Westbrook, by the way, is my favorite player. I'm not saying he's the best. He's my because what he brings every night. You never get cheated, and that reaction that Key just described does not surprise me. Right, that he took it that way. But something about the quote, Jay, makes me feel like actually there is a danger that the Lakers won't be patient.
Well, that's a great thing, isn't it? It's sometimes I feel like at all of our lives in some juncture, when you keep rising and you do well, like you're going to get hit with adversity. And how you decide to handle that means something. And I think for Russ, this has followed him. Yesterday I was in First Take, and Stephen A. and I were talking about it. Stephen A. went down this list of all the players that Russell Westbrook played with and was like, none of these equated to a championship. And I was like, you know what, Stephen A., you're right. So is there extra pressure on Russ? Yeah, that's what probably made him call Woj and be like, hey, look, Woj, I didn't talk to the media. Here's what's going down. But I think that can work for them. This team needs a kick in the ass, man. They need it. They need somebody to say, this is mine. We need to own it. This roster is not great. The only way they are going to pull out of the trenches, and not until they're out of it, they need to be at the top of the Western Conference, and they need to start playing better basketball. The only way they can do that, it starts with Anthony Davis and his butt being back on the court and playing. It starts with internal pressure from LeBron James on AD and LeBron James playing at a high level. And it starts with Russ buying into how Frank Vogel needs him to play. And this could all work out for them.
And I think, Jay, he's trying to buy in.
Yes.
He's not trying to buck the system. Right. You see players a lot of the times when people say, they got to buy in, They're not buying in because they're trying to buck the system. That's not what Russ is trying to do. He's trying to find his role, his niche. And it's just so happened that he's trying to find it at a time when Anthony Davis is not on the floor. When Anthony Davis is there, it's a different basketball team. No matter how people joke, we joke about Anthony always being on the bench hurt or something's wrong with him. When he is, in fact, on the floor, it's a better basketball team, and he is a really good basketball player that can certainly turn things around for them. They've got to figure out what they want to do, though. What is it that they want to be moving forward?
Something that we haven't talked about and we'll talk about, I'm sure, going forward is –
and actually defending, it leaves gaps. And LeBron is having an incredible year, but the pieces just don't fit. It's that simple to me.
Yeah, and when you look at the pieces, right, there's a KCP's gone. Caruso's in Chicago. You mentioned DeMar DeRozan. I don't know if the Lakers could have paid him the type of money that Chicago was able to give him in free agency. I don't think the Lakers had the type of salary cap space. And then you say, well, they took on Westbrook's money, but I think it had something to do with the trading and all that sort of stuff. But when you look at it from a standpoint of Frank Vogel, yeah, his defense with the year we won the championship was lights out because of the personnel. This personnel is a little bit different, and it may take a little bit more time, to get everybody on the same page when you talk about the way Westbrook was benched last night, because he didn't do the things defensively that the Lakers wanted him to do. And that's all about learning. It's not that he can't do it. It's not that he's not giving the effort. It's more about he's doing it the wrong way. So in the end, the decision was made, we might want to bench him because he's not doing it the way that we need him to do it. So therefore, it's affecting us, and we could potentially lose this game.
So, Key,
which they wind up losing anyway.
I want you to think about something with the Westbrook trade, because they went all in, but for me, the Lakers have had so many young assets that you just watch continue to flourish on other teams, right? So for that trade in particular, Kyle Kuzma, like, he's been having a ball-out year with the Washington Wizards.
You can have him. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right, that's fine.
Yep.
KCP, defensive guy.
Nice little piece.
Montrezl Harrell, who obviously there were some questions last year about how the rotation was working. All those questions.
Six-man energizer guy with the boards. Yep.
Because of that deal for Russell, then you couldn't pay Alex Caruso, right? So you let go of some legitimate pieces from a youth perspective that make this team different.
Comes down to two things for me, though, guys. One is, and I think, Key, you're right, like, you got to teach the like what you want the guys to do on defense. So if it doesn't work, there has to be a consequence to get it in their muscle memory, right? Like, oh, I got to do this. There should be urgency. But there are two issues. One, all the different pieces that they let go, none of those guys are real difference makers at an elite level if you're looking to win a championship, right? Those are complementary pieces.
But no, that's not true, though.
Hold on. Who's an elite player?
No, that's not true. They won the championship because of those dudes.
Well, I can make a case.
But they actually made a package of even more talented guys than that to bring in AD. And AD and LeBron were able to stay healthy and win a chip together.
Because you had depth, and you gave up depth.
But that's always what you have to do in the beginning.
Jay, you gave up that depth.
You always have to do that in the beginning if you want to assemble. If it's not through the draft, if you're assembling a roster of superstars, you're always going to give up depth to do it at first, to get the big piece, right? In the NBA, you don't want to break $1 into 4 quarters, but you'll always trade 4 quarters, make it $1. That's the basic rule of thumb. But without getting bogged down, so there's the one thing where you'll do that. They won a championship. They got a championship out of that first move where they traded all those guys and brought in AD. Now, the next thing is that usually works if there's a superstar involved. And the question is Westbrook's value as a star player at the moment. He just got benched. The fit isn't great. Is he still a superstar player?
Yeah, he's still a superstar player. He's in the wrong situation right now. The Lakers actually didn't really need to do a whole lot to get over the hump. You got to remember a year ago, Jay, as you know, having played in the NBA, they got injured at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. If they didn't get injured at the wrong time,
come out of the West.
They would come out. They could have come out of the West.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't know why they made all these wholesale changes at the end of the day.
Well, it was really one big change to bring. If you want to bring a max contract type guy in, you got to move the pieces around, right? You're going to lose
wholesale,
some depth.
but that's wholesale changes when you getting rid of multiple players for 1 or 2 guys. That's multiple changes that they did not need to make.
Can I answer your question?
Yep.
He's still an elite player.
Absolutely.
He's just not an elite player, I don't think, as much when LeBron James and him are on the court at the same time.
It's the fit. They both need the
that
ball.
That fit is so off. That's like when people say to me, well, yeah, they're going to try to package something for Ben Simmons. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, you can't have another version of that with LeBron. Like, LeBron needs some. It makes you think about. Here's something that Brian Windhorst threw out yesterday that actually made you think about it. And I'm not saying Russ would do this. He would take a little bit less money, but it's like, will Russell Westbrook be willing to go back to Houston for John Wall, right? And like I'm drawing a blank on his name. The shooter, 3-point guy, Eric, played at Indiana. Wow, a lot of names. Eric Gordon. Thanks, Yates. Eric Gordon, right? Mm-hmm. So like then you have more of a guard that can shoot a little bit with John Wall to a degree, right? But more of a playmaker. It kind of needs the ball in his hands, but not as much. And you have Eric Gordon that can help you space out the floor. That fit that you think when it comes to playoff time, crunch time between these two, that's going to be we're not even talking about that. We're just talking about the regular season. Does it fit? Yet alone in the playoffs.
There are two things. One is the big. I believe the reason they made those changes, Key Jay, is because the Nets had a big 3 and the Lakers were looking to answer it. They wanted to answer their big 3 with their own. But now the fit. When you think about this Lakers team, even if everyone's healthy, who shoots the 3? Because in the modern NBA, you gotta have some guys who can really knock it down. It's not LeBron. LeBron's like the best shooter on the team who plays 30-plus minutes a night. That can't be, but it is. Westbrook doesn't shoot it. AD doesn't shoot it. He shoots it okay for a 7-foot type guy, but not for a regular NBA player.
The star power jumps off the page for the Lakers, but as far as a team, they're nowhere close to what Golden State or Phoenix are.
Hey, leave us
They're nowhere
alone,
close.
Jay.
No, it's just a reality of where they are, Key. Like, we're talking about team basketball is dominating the league right now, especially in the West. That style of